And in that meeting, so I left mad and frustrated, and nobody stepped up. And as I was leaving, there was an older pastor. Can we use names here? There was an older pastor named David Whiteman, and he was waiting around. Everybody had left, and I was putting my stuff up, and I was going out the car, and he catches me on the way to the parking lot, and he's like, "Hey," and he was awkward. He's like, "I feel like God said something to me for you when you were in there praying, and I don't know if you believe in prophets, but I feel like I have a word of prophecy for you." And I'm like, "No, I don't really believe like what you're talking about, and my church doesn't, but I really want to hear what you have to say." And so we walked over to my car, and I sat down in the driver's seat, and he told me this prophetic word that as I was bemoaning nobody stepping up, and him not knowing anything about God giving me a vision, if you will, for what National Day of Prayer could be. He said, God said, I don't know what this means, but God said, if he will say yes, I will change the spiritual atmosphere of this community. And then I'm starting all this, I'm thinking of I'm saying no. And then at the time, I thought David Whiteman, maybe I still do, I thought of him as a kooky, weird, old, Pentecostal-y kind of pastor. Because I remember at that time, he would come into prayer, and me and another guy, the guy who wrote me into becoming the Minister Alliance president, we would gather for prayer, and I didn't connect with this old guy. He was different. And then he'd go off to India for mission trips. He'd be gone for months, and then he'd come back, and he'd show up, and he was just awkward. And so it wasn't like I respected him, but I was desperate, and I was messed up, and I knew something was off. And he said, I have a word for you from the Lord. And I'm like, this is probably nothing, but I need something. So he said that in the car. And then I said, well, would you pray for me? And he prayed for me. And I left that meeting, and I went to the city park, and I began walking and talking to God and started wrestling because I knew what he meant. David didn't know what he meant, but I knew what he meant. And so I started walking, and I got to this park bench, and I just sat down, and I got my phone out, and I started typing out this vision. I'd had it, but I have never put it on paper. So I began typing out this vision of the National Day of Prayer, 12 hours of prayer, and we're going to do this. And I said yes to that, not knowing that it wasn't just the National Day of Prayer. That was just the event that I was saying no to.